Eagle Mountain, California, once thrived as a bustling mining town nestled against the rugged backdrop of the Chuckwalla Mountains. Its streets, now choked with dust and echoes of the past, tell a tale of prosperity turned to horror. The town's rise and abrupt fall are inextricably linked to the mysterious and bloody events that unfolded in its final days, events that continue to haunt the few who remember and dare to speak of them. In the mid-20th century, Eagle Mountain was a beacon of hope for hundreds seeking employment in the iron mines. Among them was Arthur Whitmore, a diligent and unassuming man who moved to the town in 1948. Arthur was known for his reserved nature, preferring the solace of the mine's depths to the company of his fellow workers. His reclusiveness earned him few friends, but also kept him away from the town's gossip and squabbles. By the early 1970s, the mine's productivity began to decline, and tensions rose among the workforce. Layoffs became frequent, and whispers of dissatisfaction grew louder. In this atmosphere of unrest, Arthur Whitmore, who had toiled faithfully for decades, was abruptly dismissed. The official reason cited was his deteriorating mental state, a claim Arthur vehemently denied. His last day at the mine was marked by a heated argument with the foreman, witnessed by several workers. Arthur's parting words, filled with bitterness and foreboding, would linger in the memories of those who heard them. Arthur was last seen walking southeast into the vast expanse of the Mojave Desert, his silhouette gradually swallowed by the shifting sands. It was presumed he had perished, unable to survive the harsh environment. Life in Eagle Mountain moved on, but the sense of unease persisted, like a splinter festering just beneath the skin. A few months after Arthur's disappearance, the killings began. They were brutal and seemingly random, targeting men, women, and even children. The first victim was a young woman named Clara Jenkins, found savagely murdered in her home. Her body bore the marks of a vicious struggle, and the sheer ferocity of the attack sent shockwaves through the community. The town's sheriff, Sam Turner, was ill-equipped to handle such heinous crimes. Eagle Mountain had been a quiet place, and the sudden violence shattered the fragile sense of security. As more bodies were discovered, each crime scene painted a grisly picture of the killer's descent into madness. The brutality was staggering, throats slit, bodies mutilated, and cryptic symbols carved into the flesh of the victims. Rumors began to swirl, and suspicion naturally fell upon the missing Arthur Whitmore. His abrupt departure, coupled with his perceived instability, made him the prime suspect. But with no concrete evidence and Arthur nowhere to be found, the case remained frustratingly unsolved. The killings continued, each more gruesome than the last, casting a pall of fear over the once thriving town. Residents grew paranoid, barricading themselves in their homes and avoiding the darkened streets. The sense of community that had defined Eagle Mountain began to unravel. Friends turned on friends, and neighbors viewed each other with suspicion. The town was trapped in a spiral of fear and mistrust, with the shadow of the killer looming large. One by one, families left, unable to bear the constant terror. The mine, already struggling, shut down completely. By the late 1970s, Eagle Mountain was a ghost town, its buildings left to decay under the relentless sun. Those who survived carried with them the scars of their ordeal, haunted by the memories of the friends and loved ones they had lost. In the years that followed, Eagle Mountain became the stuff of legends. The tale of Arthur Whitmore and the slaughter that decimated the town was recounted in hushed tones, with each telling adding new layers of myth and speculation. Some claimed Arthur's spirit still roamed the desert, a vengeful wraith seeking retribution. Others believed he had been driven mad by the mine, his sanity eroded by years of isolation and toil. In the late 1990s, a group of paranormal investigators ventured into Eagle Mountain, hoping to uncover the truth behind the chilling stories. They spent several nights in the abandoned buildings, equipped with cameras, recording devices, and an array of sensors. What they captured was both fascinating and terrifying: strange noises, shadowy figures, and inexplicable temperature drops. The most chilling evidence, however, came in the form of an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, recording that seemed to capture a voice whispering, "Arthur." The investigators' findings reignited interest in the Eagle Mountain mystery. Amateur sleuths and thrill-seekers flocked to the site, each hoping to uncover clues or experience the supernatural for themselves. Among them was a journalist named Laura Mitchell, whose grandmother had lived in Eagle Mountain during its heyday. Laura was determined to piece together the fragments of the town's dark history and bring closure to the story that had haunted her family for decades. Laura's investigation led her to interview surviving residents and their descendants. She pored over old police reports, newspaper clippings, and personal letters. What emerged was a portrait of Arthur Whitmore that was both tragic and complex. He had been a man of few words, deeply affected by the loss of his wife to illness years before. His dedication to the mine had been his way of coping with the grief, and his dismissal had shattered the fragile stability he had built. The turning point in Laura's investigation came when she discovered a cache of letters written by Arthur to his wife, hidden away in a forgotten corner of the town's library. The letters revealed a man tormented by his inner demons, grappling with feelings of inadequacy and despair. In his final letter, dated just days before his disappearance, Arthur wrote of a darkness growing within him, a rage he could no longer contain. With this newfound understanding, Laura returned to Eagle Mountain, determined to confront the town's ghosts. She spent a night in the old mine, where Arthur had worked for so many years. As she descended into the depths, she felt an overwhelming sense of sorrow and anger, as if the very walls were imbued with Arthur's suffering. In the heart of the mine, Laura found an old, rusted box. Inside were personal effects, photographs, a pocket watch, and a journal. The journal's final entry, written in a shaky hand, detailed Arthur's final days. He spoke of visions and voices, of a compulsion to purge the town of its sins. It was clear that Arthur had been driven to the brink of insanity, his mind fractured by years of isolation and loss. As Laura emerged from the mine, she felt a sense of closure. She had uncovered the truth behind Eagle Mountain's tragic past, and in doing so, she hoped to lay its ghosts to rest. Her article, published in a prominent magazine, brought renewed attention to the town and its dark history. It also sparked a movement to preserve Eagle Mountain as a historical site, a testament to the dangers of isolation and the fragility of the human mind. Today, Eagle Mountain stands as a haunting reminder of a once thriving community brought to its knees by a series of brutal killings. The legend of Arthur Whitmore endures, a cautionary tale of how unchecked grief and isolation can lead to unimaginable horror. The town's crumbling buildings and deserted streets serve as a stark monument to the lives lost and the mysteries that remain. For those who visit, Eagle Mountain offers a glimpse into the past, a place where the line between history and legend blurs, and where the echoes of tragedy still linger in the dry desert air.